Good evening and welcome to round 7 and 8 of the 27th season of the TGP2 series here at the United States, the Circuit of the Americas, and later on tonight we will be going to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Currently leading the championship is Mike Noon on 109 points, followed by Jack Pearson on 103 points, just 6 points back, followed by Luca Chiapelli on 96 in third place, and Dom Smith, as we're seeing on screen now, rounds out the top 4 on 71 points. Joining me tonight shall be 4-time TGP1 champion Dan the Man F1. Good evening, Daniel.
Hello Roy, hello, it's good to be here. Yeah, looking forward to another night of hopefully exciting races as Dom just goes up to second place there to make it a Mercedes 1-2, this halfway point of the session.
Yeah, and currently on provisional pole it is his teammate Jack Pearson, the man who was penalised in Monza following an incident giving him a 2-place penalty, which I believe cost him the championship lead, and he's now 6 points behind Mike as he just invalidates his lap at the start of the second sector. Not what Jack needed.
No, certainly was not, but there was a bit of debate over that penalty, I think, but in the end of the day, he was given it and he had to take it, and as you say, it did lose him the championship lead, but it's not disastrous. He's still right there, and he's part of that three-way fight with obviously Mike Noon and Luca, who's currently in third place in this session. Mike Noon still hasn't got a lap in yet, but he is currently on a lap right now.
Let's go on board with the Red Bull driver. We're not on board, we'll have a look at the broadcast camera for the Red Bull driver, and he's coming up to the penultimate corner right now, a little bit wide, missed the apex. Can he hook it up for the final corner, keep the rear end in check? It's so easy to lose the back end here, and the Red Bull driver goes into third place. Solid drive from the Red Bull driver.
Just can't displace those two Mercedes just yet then. We should say, by the way, that we are expecting some possible rain 20 minutes or so into this race, so towards the latter stages maybe of this upcoming race. We had rain last season in TGP2 at this track. That was at the start of the race. This is going to come midway through, which could throw the strategy right up in the air, and then of course you have to sort of decide, do you want to go on a wet setup or dry setup? Probably best to go for dry in case the rain doesn't show up, but it can certainly have a big effect on strategy, especially if you get a safety car.
Yeah, I think it could potentially, if you're someone who's in the mid-pack or someone who might qualify outside the top 10 anyway, you might as well just qualify on mediums. It could be a strategic advantage. You could maybe, if the rain comes quick enough, stay out just until the rain arrives and get a free pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely right. And we should say also, the guy in 5th place there, you can see his name is shadowed out of the picture. It's Bossman Sean, because he, pole sitter in Monza, he set a good early lap, but then on his way into the pit lane he hit the pit wall and destroyed his car. Can be quite deceiving, that pit lane entry. You have to go a little bit slower than what you think, and he just went straight into the wall and is out of this session.
I have to say I can relate to that. I actually did that last season in TGP1 qualifying, as Blair Grills invalidates his lap on the penultimate corner, just about dives into the pits in time, but not what the McLaren driver needed, currently in P7.
And that's another really easy corner to invalidate, isn't it? That penultimate corner, just get a tiny bit wide and it can be an invalidation, but I'm a fan of that personally. It's not like IndyCar last year when they were just going right off the road there. They have to stay within the white lines. This is a racetrack.
Well, of course, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but the rules are the rules here, and strict corner cutting is what the league decided to go with. So yeah, if you do not adhere to the track limits, then you will receive an invalidation regardless of the debate. So yeah, Blair Grills falling foul of that rule.
So Tom Penguin also is also falling foul of that rule as he enters the pit lane. Then we've got quite a few drivers in the pits at the minute, getting ready for the final runs. Jack Pearson is on his outlap, the current pole sitter, see if he can improve on that time.
Mr. John currently heading towards turn 12 in the AlphaTauri, currently in 15th, and he's invalidated his time at the end of the second sector. Not what he needed.
Yeah, and he took the bollard with him. That's what caused the invalidation. Took too much of that curb there, and that is an instant invalidation. See this twisty parts of the track that he's going through there to start the final sector. It's so difficult for me personally. One of the worst parts of any F1 calendar for me. It's just not. I just can't ever really get it right, but it does provide great racing though.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. It's very easy to get the back end stepped out around there, but yeah, the racing is, I guess, is what the fans are here to see. As a driver, it's annoying, but as a fan, it can provide some great entertainment.
Yep, absolutely right. So as Mr. John retires then as 15th, so he is not going to get any lapping quicker than that 1 minute 40. Sam Hickey still hasn't got a lapping at all. He's on his out lap at the minute, and I'm sure we've got the Sam Hickey fan club watching us once again, no doubt.
Yep, do get in touch if you are tuning in. I believe currently the driver furthest around his outlap is Blair Grills, but he's only midway through the middle sector at the moment, so not much to comment on at the moment as everyone is preparing for their final run of the session.
Yeah, well, Jack Pearson pitted after his outlaps. I don't know if he maybe invalidated it, and it came up with that this and next lap will be invalidated. That could be a part. That happened to me last season around this track. So I suppose that could be what's happened. And there we go, and he's back out again now. So a bit of a strange one, but he'll have more than enough time to still get a lap in.
Yeah, Blair Grills is the first guy to set a lap in the final minutes of the session. Where can the McLaren driver go? Currently in P7 as he navigates his way through the S's. The Mercedes driver gets out of the way very nicely, and he's up on his time by a tenth, which at the moment would be good enough to elevate him to the top 6. So the McLaren driver keeping it within all four wheels within the white lines there. Now the exit onto this back straight is so critical, and it looks like he's little kick of oversteer, but he's kept the car in check. DRS wide open now down this slightly curved back straight as he prepares now to brake into turn 12, a very critical braking zone. Very important to keep the rear of the car stable as you go through this entry to the final sector of the lap, whereas his time currently 3/10 up on his previous best. Can he squeeze his way into the top 5, maybe even the top 4? Now, double apex corner, missed the first one, hit the second one. Careful of the rear on the exit. Now, another multiple apex corner. You don't want to hit them all, but keep a tight line through here if you can. Now, be careful through here. Don't want to run too wide, because does he keep it within the track limits? Yes, he does, but a bit too much oversteer there, I have to say. Now, just one more corner to go, and where can Blair Grills go as he crosses the line? He goes up to P5. Solid effort.
Some great pace then from Blair Grills. Chiapelli is just behind him now as he's just starting the final sector. Said he went purple in sector 2, and Sam Hickey's popped up with a 1:30.7. That's a great lap by Sam Hickey. Can Luca get anywhere near that? We've got Jack and Dom now also starting their lap times, and Mike Noon as well in the middle sector. Chiapelli coming round the penultimate corner, no track extending there. Final corner. Oh, he nearly lost it trying to get on the power, and he goes up into second.
Yeah, very fortunate there.
And Mike Noon's invalidated.
Oh,
Mike Noon is invalidated, the championship leader.
And Jack Pearson and Dom are currently on their laps, both Mercedes drivers.
Dom's invalidated.
Well, just one Mercedes driver left then, who can snatch pole away from the Haas of Sam Hickman. But what kind of time can Jack find? I don't know if that was the smoothest exit from Jack onto the back straight there. He looked a bit timid. But as he heads down the back straight, will he get a tow from the Haas? It doesn't look like it. Currently heading towards top speed now in 8th gear. Hit the braking point. Does he hit the apex? Yes, he does. Rear end looking quite stable. He's only 2 tenths
coming around the final corner as well. He is going to improve. He goes to 8th place then. So here we go then. Let's see if Jack Pearson can do it. Can he take pole?
Keeps the rear end stable through there. Now this multiple apex corner. Keep it tight to save some time. Now, 2 crucial corners coming up here. You want to take as much speed through turn 19 as you possibly can without running wide. I think he's missed the apex, but he's kept it valid. So he might improve to the front row here, will Jack, but I don't think it will be pole position. Let's see. It's, yes, P2.
What a lap then by Sam Hickey. Look at that. He's half a second quicker than Jack in second place. We still got the 2 Ferraris to finish their lap times off. I think they're going to be the last 2 really to set a lap time. So Tom Penguin's invalidated. Indecisive is also invalidated. So it is going to be these 2. Luca's not on a lap. Luca's going very slow. And well, unless the Ferrari drivers have got something very, very special up the sleeve. It looks like Sam Hickey is going to take his first pole of the season.
I believe Joe Sayer Sports was half a second up after the second sector. He could slot into the top 6 if he's nailed this final sector. He has run out of VRS deployment, but he pops up into P6. Solid effort from the Ferrari driver. What can his teammate Chris Johnson do as he rounds the penultimate corner into the final corner now? Keep it neat and tidy through here. He's also run out of deployment, but he pops up into... well, he stays P10, despite an improvement in time.
Dom's left the session. 4th place Dom has left the session. He will be able to rejoin him, but if he's not quick enough, I think that means that his car will be an AI at the start of the race, which will lose him a few positions. We had quite a lot of disconnections yesterday in this race in TGP1. It's obviously some sort of curse around here in Texas.
Yeah, I'd be hoping to rejoin before the session. If you're going to disconnect, it might as well be now. You finish your qualifying lap, you've set your time, so hopefully he's got enough time to rejoin so we can take control of his car at the start of the race, because he has done a very solid lap to put himself into P4 in the second row.
He has, yeah, and of course it's great for Mercedes as well, who are so far ahead in the constructors as well, to have the 2 cars right up there. Then there's the order. Look at that, half a second for Sam Hickey.
Yep, Jack Pearson half a second back, as you said, completing the front row, followed by 3rd place in the championship, Luca Chiapelli. Dom Smith in 4th place, with championship leader Mike Noon in P5 for Red Bull. Sayer Sports rounds out the top 6, followed by Blair Grills for McLaren. Bossman Sean, who crashed out early in the session, was P8. I wonder what he could have done with the improving track conditions, as Dom has rejoined the session. Baza in P9, followed by Chris Johnson rounding out the top 10. Now Alex Zaffro, P11, first of the drivers to get free tyre choice for the race, followed by Neljack, Sir Tom Penguin, Indecisive Mackie, Red Bull Kim, Mr. John not setting a competitive lap, and M. Shep with no time at all at the back of the grid, standing in at Williams.
Great grid then for this race. Sam Hickey, who's had a lot of bad luck in this season so far. Is this the moment where he really shines, I wonder? And we're about to see just how dark it perhaps will. And there we go, look at that, you can tell the rain's coming in.
Now I wonder, tyre strategy is going to be very interesting around here. I wonder if some of the people outside the top 10 might feel they're out of position. Maybe Mr. John will go for an alternate strategy. I think I would if I was in his position. But yeah, the clouds looking very ominous there. We are expecting rain towards the end of the race, but it would obviously have to come quick enough, because hopefully it doesn't come after the race like we often see in real life. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens regarding the weather.
Yeah.
So just 10 seconds.
Well, if we get a safety car, Roy, I think if we get a safety car, I think the rain will definitely come in at some stage.
I do agree, yeah. So I think a lot of drivers will be looking for that safety car. But here we are, Sam Hickey on pole position. And we're underway here in Texas. Has Sam Hickey got a good start? I don't think he has. I think Jack Pearson has got the better start. And Luca Chiapelli's also challenging the Haas driver into turn 1. What can Mike Noon do on the brakes? He has just tapped the back of Jack, but he's kept everything under control. So it's Jack Pearson now who leads the race from Luca Chiapelli. Disastrous start for Sam Hickman, who's now down into P5 as Sayer Sports moves up into the top 4. Everything all clean so far, and it's Jack Pearson with a dream start so far, looking to reclaim that championship lead that he lost in the last round at Monza. Mike Noon completing the top 3, so it's a solid start from him. Dom Smith falls back into P6, but it's a dream start for Jack Pearson there.
Oh, it was just such a shame for Sam, wasn't it? We've got a spinner. I think, is that Basil at the back who's lost it? It is.
Yep. Not what Basil needs.
And Mike Noon's going for Chiapelli, a second place down the straight here, but what a shame that was for Sam Hickey. Just got a poor start and then sort of got himself in all the wrong positions, turned into the first corner, and he went way too wide as well. But Luca's got back that second place now. Mike Noon's going to challenge him though, late on the brakes to get second place, and he's just going to squeeze through.
Late on the brakes, but it's a very nice move from Mike Noon to get himself into P2. Now look at this championship battle. Jack, who is 6 points back. Mike Noon, who is championship leader, of course, with Luca Chiapelli actually completing the top 3. So it's the top 3 in the championship who are the top 3 in the race. And you see the predicted pit stop strategy. I think that can go out the window, to be honest, because of the imminent rain that we're going to get as Luca runs very wide through that penultimate corner.
And Sayer Sports made a great start up into 4th place. We've got Dom already back in the session. He was back in the session by the time we were at the S's are spotted. So hasn't been too bad for him in the end in 6th place. Blair Grills, though, who was another big star of that qualifying session, he's also had a pretty poor start. He's down in 10th right now. Got indecisive in the pit lane, buzzed in the pit lane after that contact at the start, and Sir Tom Penguin possibly as well, I think.
I don't think so. No, Sir Tom Penguin did just have an incident. I believe he spun in the first few corners of the second sector as Bossman Sean dives up the inside of the S's through past Dom Smith. A very solid move from the Irishman up into P6.
So we've got Alex Afro on the mediums then, Shepherd on the mediums, and they've both just got penalties. Mr. John on the mediums and Sir Tom Penguin on the mediums then, for when the rain comes in, and well, presumably they're going to just try and stay on those tyres as long as possible until, for them, hopefully the rain appears. Mike Noon closes in on Jack, but just can't make the move just yet.
No, just a little bit too far back at the moment. Yeah, I think strategy, it's ever so crucial around here. The softs aren't going to last the whole race, so if you're going to pit, you need to be assured about it. You need to take all the life out of the tyres, you might as well, and then just go on the mediums and hope it doesn't rain. Whereas the guys at the back now will hopefully be hoping for the opposite, especially Indecisive Mackie and Baza, who are down at the back of the grid after having to make an early pit stop.
You got Sam Hickey getting into 4th, past Sayers Sports down the long straight, so he's trying to recover after that poor start. But the top 3 have begun to pull away, these big 3 in the championship. And look at that now, Giapelli in 3rd, test the fastest lap, right behind Mike Noon. Could fancy a bit of a dive bomb.
And
he
has.
He's hit him! Oh dear.
And that's damage for the AlphaTauri driver, and actually I believe it's begun to rain already.
It has?
There's raindrops.
Yeah, it's raining.
As Giapelli picks up a 3-second time penalty, not what he needs, and it's going to be a nightmare for him now. He can't really pit because the rain's coming down, but he's got wing damage, so he has to be extremely careful to avoid these penalties through these S's.
Nightmare for Luca there in this championship battle, and you can already see how much that damage is dropping him way back from the top 2. But, already now it's only lap 3, and already we begin to wonder, when are the drivers going to come in for inters? It's way too early at the minute, you would say. Usually a good indicator is when DRS is disabled, which obviously hasn't happened yet. It's lap 3, it's just been enabled, in fact, as usual, and we'll see if we get any moves. You've got Bossman Sean closing on Sayers Sports for 5th place, but he just can't get past. Very close though, going into the corner there, but Chris Johnson, is he going to get past Dom for 7th? Dom's fighting back as they go round to the twisty section of the track. Dom's lagging slightly on my screen, but no problem really for Chris Johnson, who I think will get the move done in the end.
Yeah, Dom unable to get the switchback. There just isn't enough grip right now. So yeah, Chris Johnson moves his way up into the top 7. It's not been a smooth start for Dom Smith. He's down 4 places from where he started.
I think Mike Canoe just tried to do a dummy there with the pit stop. He was got to shoot off to the left and then decided to stay out in the end. Giapelli, despite that damage, he's not coming in. He's staying out at the minute. Sam Hickey is closing in though. May have DRS in a moment. Bossman Sean, is he going to now have a go at Sayers Sports for 5th place into the first corner? That should be a move completed for Bossman Sean. It is for 5th.
Yeah, Bossman Sean working his way up through the field. Where can he finish in the race? He's not too far off the leader so far. The leaders haven't exactly pulled away massively as of yet. And with the rain coming in, will some people's setup changes actually come in handy towards the end of this race?
Rain is definitely getting heavy, isn't it? And Mike Coon's got himself a penalty now as well. So it's looking good for Jack at the minute.
Yeah, Jack just needs to keep it on the road, keep it clean, penalty free, and it's looking good so far, but we've still got 10 laps of this race to go. We're only on lap 4.
And Red Bull Kim is the first to switch, and Red Bull Kim has decided to put the inters on at this
We've a move to the lead,
early.
And Mike Noon goes down the inside of Jack at turn 12, and he has taken the lead for Red Bull Racing.
And Jack Pearson gives him a little love tap there at the braking zone of the corner as well. Mike Noon into the lead, then maybe Jack is just struggling a little bit with this beginning to wet surface anyway, as Indecisive's also gone onto the inters. Got a card off, I think that is Indecisive on the inters. Maybe not working just yet. Dom and Neljak are battling for 8th and 9th place.
And Bossman Sean.
That's Blair Grills. Blair Grills has lost it. I wonder if he's struggling now as well. Bossman Sean gets a penalty. Definitely getting wetter, I think.
But
Mike Noon's in.
Mike Noon pits. I think personally I'd have waited another lap. I think it's still just a tiny bit too dry for those inters. You want to make sure the track is properly wet. But Jack Pearson retakes the lead then.
And Bossman Sean is going for third place. Oh, if he didn't crash in that pit lane, where could he have been in this race? He's flying through the field now.
Oh no!
Oh, he's made contact with Sam Hickey as they were exiting the corner, and that's a disaster for Bossman Sean. So Tom Beckman's out of the race, and we've got a virtual safety car, which, well, that might help Bossman Sean slightly in terms of losing positions, but absolutely terrible for him. He just got past Sam Hickey, but it was a little bit like Albon and Kvyat last year at the Nürburgring. Virtual safety car then, and Mike Nguyen is on the Inters.
I think this virtual safety car will mean it's the optimal lap to pit, I'd say, because the rain's going to keep coming down. The cars aren't moving around the track as quickly as they normally would. So I think it's a good time now to make that pit stop.
There's going to be a full Alfa Romeo pit box definitely at the end of this lap, because both of the drivers have got front wing damage. Right now, Indecisive on the Inters also look to have lost it. As we wait for this restart, then the drivers are all out to try and survive here on this circuit. This is fantastic stuff. We're only on lap 5.
Yeah, virtual safety car, probably not what the drivers at the back would have wanted. So as we see, Blair Grills has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. As we go back to green flag racing, Jack Pearson with a 5-second lead now at the front as he almost loses it on the exit of the corner there. But surely this is the time to pit. The track is looking properly wet now, and Jack Pearson will be hoping to keep that net race lead when he rejoins the track.
Yeah, they've got to pit. Surely they have to pit now. You can see that they're struggling, but no, Jack Pearson continues. Jack Pearson continues.
He must know something that we don't, because yeah, it looks pretty wet out there. Does anyone else decide to pit? Yes, Luca Chiapelli and Sam Hickman.
Yeah, so I wonder if Luca will also take this opportunity to fix his front wing, perhaps. Seysport stays out. Is Chris Johnson in? Chris Johnson's in. Dom's in. Nell Jack is also in. They're all going to come in, I think. Bossman Sean's in now. They will all be putting the Inters on, and Luca is indeed changing that front wing. Now
the question is, where does Mike rejoin in all of this? He has
way
ahead of everyone here. But it's really going to be Jack who he's most interested in, I believe, at the moment.
And Seysport is off in second place. No. He's taking a trip across the grass there. Went off at the S's. This is way too late. He's left it one lap too late. And Jack Pearson's also struggling massively as well.
Yeah, Mike Noon's going to be reeling them in now. He's just 19 seconds behind Jack, which I believe is not enough time to cover a pit stop. So it looks like it's Mike Noon with the advantage despite the penalty. And we have a Williams of M-Shep off in the S's as well, and he has lost his front wing.
And we've got another virtual safety car. Blair Grills went off as well. He's on the soft. So basically, if you're on any sort of dry compound right now, you are struggling big time. And that virtual safety car, well, that could actually help Jack slightly in terms of the gap being reduced, because Mike was closing in at a great rate. And I think Jack's probably going to lose the lead anyway, but I suppose it will help him somewhat.
Yep, I think unless we have an excessively long virtual safety car, I think Jack has indeed lost this race lead. But yeah, as Red Bull Kim gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under virtual safety car, it's a bit of a, it's sometimes difficult to judge the delta on this game as you go back to green flag racing, and Jack Pearson sliding his way through the long right-hander in the final sector. Now through the penultimate corner, just one more corner to go before we can reach safety in the pit lane and put on these intermediate tyres, which really should have been put on a lap ago.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mike Nguyen has literally just closed in a second on Joe Sayer in about 2 corners. If more than that now, look at that, it's 6.2, and there's Seysport bits. Oh, Mike Nguyen nearly lost it at the penultimate corner there, but got away with it. Chiapelli goes into 6th place. Mr. John, that is, who's just trying to make his way to the pit lane as well, also losing a ton of positions. We'll see then, where is Jack Pearson going to come out?
And he's behind Mike, and a good few seconds behind Mike. It's still not over yet. I mean, tyre wear could still play a factor here, and as well, of course, it's difficult enough to keep it on the road. So we'll see how this battle for the lead pans out. But it's Mike Noon with a 4.7 second lead as things stand.
So you got Sam Hickey in 3rd place then. What a shame for Bossman Sean that he had that incident. Who knows where he could be right now. Chris Johnson in a solid 4th, and he doesn't have a penalty out there. And that's an AlphaTauri round. It's an Alfa Romeo. Yeah, it's indecisive, big spin, and wow, that is a big spin on the Inters. But he'll get away with it. No contact made with anybody else, and of course you won't get any other safety car or virtual safety car now because you've already had 2 in this race.
Yeah, and now Jack is all over the back of Sayer Sports for P7. What can the Racing Point driver do? As we have another Yellow flag, I believe it's for indecisive Mackie yet again. He's had another incident, but it's Neljak on this back straight. No DRS as things stand because of the conditions. I don't think they're going to improve, so what can Neljak do? He's 7/10 back. I think he's just too far back at the moment to make a move. Sayer Sports is actually closer to Dom Smith as things stand. Will he be close enough to make a move? Not just yet.
Definitely getting closer then. So yeah, so now finally then, on lap 7, every driver is on the inters, which is of course the tyre to be on. Always be on the right tyre at the right time. Sadly for Jack, that's not what he done. He stayed on that extra lap, and he is now 4.6 seconds behind championship leader Mike Noon. Giapelli having to change his front wing is down in 5th place.
Although the good thing for Jack at the moment is that Mike Noon has a penalty and Jack does not, so really that gap is 1.7 seconds, and if he can claw that back, remember he does have tyres that are a few laps younger, so this still could come into the Mercedes driver's hands.
Very true, and of course, how heavy will the rain get? You know, will we reach a stage where the wets are possibly going to be needed?
As Sayer Sports dives down the inside of Dom at turn 1, can he get the move done? They're side by side on the exit, on the run down to turn 2, but Sayer Sports cannot hang around the outside, and Dom Smith retains P6.
Nice move by Dom, and Neljak will be watching that as well. And has Dom gone off?
Dom has gone off, he's missed the corner, and will this allow Neljak to pass through as well? I don't think so. They're side by side. Can Neljak go around the outside? He's run off the track in order to do so. Can he dive it down the inside? Yes, he can, but Dom is still there. He's still there. He's not letting him go, but eventually he has to concede, and Neljak moves up into P7.
There's a crazy few moments then.
Has retired at the penultimate corner. He must have gone off at the corner beforehand, and the Williams driver standing in is out of the race.
It's the 3rd race in a row that Shep has DNF'd from, sadly, but hopefully he can finish the race in Canada coming up after this one. Got a yellow flag out in all 3 sectors at the minute.
Jack Pearson has picked up a penalty, as has Bossman Sean, so that gap at the front says 5.2, and well, it is 5.2 come the end of the race, because the penalties will cancel each other out, and Sam Hickman actually is currently in a net P2 at the moment because he's within 3 seconds of Jack.
Well, Sam certainly deserves a great result, and if he can keep it on the road here, that is what he will be getting. It won't be the win at this stage, but yeah, as you say, looks like he is on for that 2nd place at the moment there.
There's Luca Chiapelli, big slide out of the final corner. He's trying to make his way past Chris Johnson. He lost time in the pits because of his wing damage. He's deployed his overtake. ERS management will be more crucial around here now because there is no DRS, so ERS is your biggest attack and defence mechanism as things stand with the conditions. But Mr. Chiapelli closing in on Chris Johnson, and he's going to want that top 4 position.
Massively closing in there. Look, he's right behind him now all of a sudden, and he was a second back at the start of the lap. He's already right there, having to slightly be careful through the final part of the S's though. He may well be on him though, coming at this long straight in just a few moments time. Chris Johnson slips, sliding, struggling so much, in fact he might get him now. Oh, Chris Johnson tries to push him out wide. They're going to be side by side into the corner, but in fact they're not, because Luca has it way done already. Chris tried to defend, but Giapelli makes the move for 4th.
I thought Chris Johnson might have had wing damage, but no, Luca is just flying out there. Chris Johnson struggling in these conditions. Blair Grill's picking up another 3-second penalty, but Mr. Chiapelli moves up into P4, but he needs to pull a 3-second gap ahead of Chris, because he has a penalty and Chris Johnson, as things stand, does not.
Yep, that's very, very true. Chris Johnson was still sticking with Luca there, but it's so difficult, that corner. As Indecisive is out of the race, I think he retired in the pit lane, Indecisive.
Yeah, it wasn't working out for the Alfa Romeo drivers. Mike Noon picks up another 3-second penalty, so Jack is still not completely out of it. The gap has stabilised at around 5 seconds, so if Jack can just reel him in with his fresher tyres towards the end of the race, there's still 5 laps left in this race, so do not rule anything out just yet.
Yeah, it's a significant development, and Mike Noon's got to just take it easy. 4 laps to go. He's got to try and not cut the corners. It can be difficult around this track, especially with the acres and acres of runoff on the circuit, but if he just needs to just keep it tidy for these next 4 laps, and he should have the win. But Jack, he will know now. He'll know that about the 6-second penalty for Mike Noon. You'll see it on the screen. and it might give him an extra little incentive to push a bit harder. Chiapelli gets another penalty as well.
And that's not good for Mr. Chiapelli. Chris Johnson, he's sort of sticking with him. He's dropping back a little bit, but not as much as Mr. Chiapelli would like with that 6-second penalty. So Chris Johnson still in a net P4 as things stand.
He is, yeah. Chiapelli has a 9-second penalty now. Say
Sports, 9, my apologies.
Yeah, it's 9 seconds for Lucas, so not good at all for him. Say Sports just picks up his first penalty of the race as well.
And that's not good because he has Neljak breathing down his neck as he is right behind him now on the back straight. Can the Racing Point driver move his way up into the top 6? He's got P6 in a net P6, we should say, because of the penalty, but he would like to get that move done on track, but at the moment he is too far back to pass the Ferrari driver.
One small positive for Luca is that he does have the fastest lap of the race, and I don't think that's going to be getting any quicker in these next 4 laps, so he'll certainly get the bonus point for that, provided he can finish in the points. And Jack gets a second penalty as well. Now this is beginning to look good for Sam Hickey all of a sudden. Oh
yeah, of course, yeah. Sam is within, he's only 7 seconds back, or around 8 seconds back from the leader, so if they pick up another penalty and Sam Hickman can keep it clean, the Haas driver could very well win for his team's home race here.
What a result that would be for Haas and for Sam Hickey, and all his fans no doubt watching right now as well, especially considering his teammate is at the back as Alex Afro, who's a little bit wide at the final corner as he was trying to catch up to Dom for 8th place. That's dropped them back slightly.
Alex Afro looking to move up into the top 8. He does have 9 seconds worth of penalties, but at the moment that is still a net P9 because Mr. John is 13 seconds back. I don't think he got the strategy quite right. He started on mediums as Sam Hickman picks up a 3-second time penalty, which is not what the Haas driver needed. He's still in a net P2 as things stand, but yeah, it's not very not great for the Haas driver.
Yeah, that is a shame. At this stage, Chris Johnson might end up sneaking on the podium here at this rate. The way this is all going at the minute, it's definitely going to be ahead of Chiapelli at the moment. That's for sure.
Alex Afro using his overtake before the hairpin onto the back straight. He's got past Dom Smith for P8, but Dom with the switchback is able to make his way back through. So they are not side by side just yet, but Alex Afro now in the tow, heading down the back straight. The Renault driver running out of ERS deployment, has to be said. Can he get the move done down into the inside of turn 12? He's not going to go for it. Thought better of it.
It was a nice idea by Alex Afro. But Dom's gone a bit wide, so he's still right there. But Dom then pulls ahead. And as you say, yeah, Alex Afro virtually has no overtake left. But Dom's gone wide, and now he's going to go through for 8th place, is he, Alex Afro? This is such a good part of the section for racing, as we mentioned. Dom sneaks back through, unless Alex Afro can get the little undercut here to sweep round the outside into this turkey turn 8 reverse right-hander. And I think he's going to do it. He has done it. Lovely move.
But of course, Dom actually has a lot more ERS deployment to use. Alex Afro's pretty much run out, whereas Dom nearly has full deployment available to him as he picks up his first penalty of the race, but he is still 6 seconds better off in terms of penalties compared to Alex Afro as he gets a big slide out of the final corner.
He can't do that final corner. He really struggling there, really struggling at that final corner. It's the second time he's done that in 2 laps, but still makes the first corner ahead though for the time being. Very wide still. Wonder if the rain's getting a bit heavier.
Certainly looks like it. Yeah, the car is very much struggling for traction in these slow speed corners. And up towards the front, we've got Sam Hickey just 6/10 behind Jack Pearson. The Haas driver is reeling him in at the moment. He's also got about 30% more ERS deployment available to him, so this could change on track for P2 at the moment.
And look at Bazza. Bazza is in the pits, and Bazza in 12th place is putting wet tyres on with 3 laps to go.
I think things will have to change fairly dramatically in order for that to take effect, but I think it's a matter of survival now, even if the conditions are too wet for the intermediate tyres. But Baz, I suppose he's got nothing to lose, might as well give it a go. He can maybe use this information for future races where there's similar conditions, and hopefully they'll pay dividends in the future, but as of right now I don't think it's going to work out for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, unless they all decide to come in for... As Jack gets another penalty, that's 9 seconds now. That's the same as Chiapelli or Sam Hickey. If he could just clear Jack, I wonder how much he could close in on Mike.
Chris Johnson picks up his first penalty of the race in P5. And Baza gets a 3-second penalty on those wet tyres for multiple warnings, as well as Sam Hickey just about avoids the back of Jack Pearson into turn 1.
We've got 2 laps to go then, 2 more laps to stay on the island. And, well, Sam Hickey looks like he's going to be finished in 2nd place, but can he actually get 2nd place on the road? That's what he obviously ideally would love. That's the closest battle on track at the moment. We have got Neljak closing in on Sayer Sports, though. Neljak has not got a penalty and could make a few positions this race, although having said that, Sayer Sports is 12 seconds behind Chris Johnson in 5th, so perhaps not.
Sam Hickey still looking at the back of Jack Pearson's car, but at the moment he doesn't need to worry too much about it given his penalty advantage. He's got 6 seconds less penalties, so the Haas driver can just sit there as his teammate graciously moves out of the way. Red Bull Kim being lapped down in P14 in the final points paying position of the race, so he has managed to keep it on the road in these conditions, so well done to the Danish driver. He will pick up the final point as things stand, but Sam Hickman still behind Jack Pearson as we head towards the end of lap 13, the penultimate lap.
Yep, so they will all be getting... oh, is that a car spinning? Is that Luca's nearly lost it? Oh, Luca nearly losing it there. How did he save that? That would have lost him a bit of time as he was starting the final sector into the right hand there. So nearly lost it. Keeps it on the track though. Got that 9-second penalty, but at the minute it'll only drop him down 1 position.
If Chris Johnson can find some speed in this final lap, he may even be able to jump Jack Pearson as things stand. But yeah, Sam Hickman looking very good for P2. So yeah, Mike Noon at the front, he's 7.8 seconds clear. He's checked out at the front, so I suppose consolation for Jack. I suppose at the end of the day Mike was the quicker driver, but yeah, I think we were maybe robbed of a battle there by Jack's strategical blunder.
Yeah, I think you're right. Baza, by the way, on those wet tyres, he's not closing in at all really on Mr. John in 11th place. So probably not the right decision. He's losing time as he got a car off. It's Dom. Dom's off on the penultimate corner. He's really struggling. He just lost the position to Bossman Sean. Now Mr. John goes ahead. He's really struggling on this final lap. Sam Hickey's still right on Jack.
Yeah, can he get the move done as they head down onto the back straight? This is his best opportunity yet. I don't think he's ever been this close. He's got ERS deployment at his disposal. Can the Haas driver finally make his way through on track past Jack Pearson in the Mercedes? At the moment the gap is staying around 3/10, but it's now down to 2. Can he make a move down the inside or around the outside? In fact, at the moment the Mercedes driver does keep ahead of the Haas driver. And Mike Noon is rounding the final few corners, just needs to keep it on the road. Just a few more corners to go for the Red Bull driver. Just keep the rear end in check, do not run too wide. He's got a penalty advantage compared to Jack Pearson, and Mike Noon rounds the final corner here in Texas. It's win number 29, the record equalled in TGP2 for a number of race victories. Mike Noon wins in Texas. Jack Pearson comes home to take 2nd place on the road ahead of Sam Hickey. Luca Chiapelli actually was right on the back of them as well. And Sam Hickey takes 2nd place by virtue of those penalties, and Chris Johnson jumps onto the podium just 1/10 ahead of Jack. Sayer Sports rounds the penultimate corner. Now Jack is right behind him, so should jump him as long as he doesn't get a penalty at the final corner. Sayer Sports 6th on the road, but 7th in the final standings. Alex Zaffro crosses the line P8 on the road for Renault, but I think Bossman Sean is going to displace him, and he indeed does. So Bossman Sean is the one who takes P8 as Mr. John for AlphaTauri rounds the final corner to take the final spot in the top 10 and does not gain any positions due to penalties. Baza on these wet tyres, yeah, as you said before, hasn't really worked out, but I guess, you know, when you're in that position you might as well learn a few lessons, and I think yeah, he's realised the track just isn't wet enough to make these wet tyres work. So yeah, still in the points though. His teammate has won the race. Baza just rounded the final few corners now for Red Bull. Yeah, it's just been a bit of a disaster for the likes of Baza and Dom and Blair Grills, it has to be said. But
yeah,
well, that's just the way things go sometimes.
Well, no wonder Dom was going so slow on the final lap. obviously panicking, thinking, "Oh no, Mike Noon is about to equal my records," and that is exactly what he has done. As Bazard and Dom approach the final corner, and Blair Grills in 13th, who promised so much after that qualifying session. So yeah, 29 wins then for Mike Noon, same as Dom, also on 29. Mike Noon could be the outright record holder after Canada, but the driver of the day for this race is Chris Johnson, who benefited from those penalties.
Yeah, and I think he's deserved that driver of the day. I mean, both Mike and Chris Johnson, very solid drives. So Chris Johnson just kept it clean, and he was rewarded for that.
Was indeed, yeah, he absolutely was.
As you see, Mike lifting the trophy, champagne being sprayed. Adrian Newey absolutely drenched, but he's delighted nonetheless. Sam Hickey
he's drenched already,
in P2. Well, quite, yeah, I guess he was, but yeah, you're already saturated, makes no difference at this point. But yeah, so Mike Noon picking up another win. Yeah, 29 in total in TGP2. So yeah, as we said, Mike Noon wins from Sam Hickey. Chris Johnson benefiting from other people's penalties to come home in P3, followed by Jack Pearson, who loses ground in the championship battle, coming home in P4 despite finishing second on the road. Mr. Chiapelli comes home in P5. The AlphaTauri driver showed great pace but made a few mistakes along the way. Nell Jack rounds out the top 6 for Racing Point, followed by Sayer Sports in the Ferrari. Bossman Sean comes home in P8, followed by Alex Zaffro, a solid drive from the Renault driver to finish in P9. Mr. John rounds out the top 10, followed by Baza. Dom Smith with a nightmare start and a nightmare race after starting in P4. Blair Grills comes home in P13, and Red Bull Kim rounds out the points scoring positions for Haas. Indecisive Mackie, M. Shep and Sir Tom Penguin failed to finish.
Great race then at Austin, Texas, and we're now staying in North America because we are about to head to Montreal for the Canadian TGP1 race, and I'm just trying to very quickly work out the standings after that race. I should have them for you in just a few moments time, and we'll see what that's done to the championship. Obviously, no doubt it will have extended the lead for Mike Noon.
I believe it extends it by a further 13 points. I believe it'll go up to 19 if my calculations are correct, but do correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, as you said, very entertaining race there. The conditions really threw a spanner in the works, and the rain coming much earlier than expected. We didn't expect rain until the end of the race, but it was actually quite early. I think it was in the first 5 laps that we saw rain. So yeah, who knows, maybe Canada will throw up a similar story. And of course, track limits around Canada, ever so crucial. A lot of places where you can invalidate a lap. It's all about keeping it neat and tidy. We may see a mixed up grid just because of how difficult it can be to set a solid qualifying lap. It's very important to set a banker lap so you can afford those mistakes. So we shall see what happens. I can predict some drivers not setting a lap until the end of the session because of the nature of the corner cutting rules, which are, well, quite tough, but
correct.
A lot of people like it. Exactly. As I said, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and this is the way the rules are, so it should provide a very exciting qualifying session.
Should indeed, yeah. Hopefully it won't rain. I'm sure they will not want that again after dealing with that race in the United States. So then, can now bring you the latest standings, and we've got Mike Noon on 134 points after that. Jack Pearson is on 115, as I understand it to be. Did you say that, Bry?
I didn't mention numbers. I think I said there was the gap would be 19.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the gap is indeed 19. And then Chiapelli is on 107. You've got Chris Johnson after that podium on 81. Don 74. Sam Hickey on 57 after that great result for him. 50 for Barry. 48 for Sean. Joe Sayer on 47. Alex Afro on 32 after that race then. As we get ready for the next race in Canada. They'll all be selecting the tyres right now. You can go for 4 runs on this in qualifying around here. You've got enough time to do it. So usually I would go for 4 soft tyre runs around here.
I think I would do the same around here. So, who'll be the first driver on track?
Of course.
Oh yeah, of course. At the moment, it looks fairly dry. A few grey clouds in the sky, though. So hopefully a weather report will come our way shortly.
And just having a look at the comments here, and Sam is obviously very happy to get that podium, as you can imagine. So big congratulations to him. I imagine that would have been a very happy podium there in Austin. You had obviously the record being equalled, you had Sam getting the podium, and then you had Chris Johnson getting that podium at the end as well. So 3 very happy drivers, I imagine, in the rain.
Yep, and speaking of rain, I just had the latest weather update, and we are expecting a similar story in the race. We expect rain to come a few laps into the race, so we should be on for some similar a similar scenario with mixed conditions.
Well, that's fantastic. It's following us around, isn't it?
Yeah, we're bringing the rain to North America here at the Ile Notre Dame, which in 2020 of course could not hold a Grand Prix. You know why, and under threat in 2021 for the same reason, but we won't mention the C word, not that one. But
yes,
you see the drivers on their outlets now.
Of course, this track is right beside the St. Lawrence, is it?
Seaway?
I believe. Yeah, it's just next to the track practically, and you soon, possibly in the race, it looks like we're going to have water on the track in a few moments, but not for this qualifying session though, around one of the most difficult tracks to get a lap together and nailed on the circuit. There's only really just a handful of big major braking points, but they are major, and you do have to nail them, particularly that final one, the final chicane, the Wall of Champions. If you can nail it through there, really, it make or breaks your lap, quite frankly, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think someone who'll know all about that is Owen Quenby, who at the end of the TGP1 race last night, it didn't really go his way, and he ended up in the barrier after he was on for a top 4 place.
Yes, that was a very disappointing moment for Owen on the final lap, heading for a great result. Would have been his first point of the season, and he put it in the wall. Hopefully none of these guys will do that then. Dom is coming round into this, about to approach the hairpin round this chicane. That's nicely done by Dom. Can be quite easy to corner cut through there if you take too much of the curb. But Dom did not do that. Hard on the brakes now into this hairpin. Possibly try and drop down to first gear and then accelerate out into second and third as you approach this long straight. And you prepare, not really to do here, just prepare, get ready to hit the brakes and to hopefully nail this final chicane. Mike Noon's on a 110, Bossman Jones on a 19.7, Dom through the final chicane. He's nailed it, it's pretty decent. Across the line, it's a 110.0 and it puts Dom in second place.
Solid banker lap from the Mercedes driver. What can his teammate do? He's only just started a lap at the moment. He's heading around turn 2, so the Mercedes driver will be looking to go up to the front of the grid to perhaps close that gap in on Mike Noon at the front of the championship.
Baza goes fourth on the medium tyres. He seems to always go on the medium tyres early on in the session. It's entirely his decision, of course. As Bossman Sean there, was he on a lap? I don't think he was. I hope he wasn't, because he had a bit of traffic there with the 2 Renaults. He is in the overtake on his ERS, so hopefully he wasn't on a lap there, because that would have caused a bit of trouble for him.
I'd be quite surprised if Bossman Sean was on a lap. He's currently on provisional pole.
Because it
so
would have been 2 runs, wouldn't it? But
I think he's just looking to get back to the pits.
Was on 2 on his overtake. Yeah, that's trick. That could be true.
So Jack Pearson now heading into the final chicane, might be getting a bit of a distant toe from his teammate. Can he keep it valid through the chicane? Yes, he can. Doesn't run too wide, DRS wide open. Straight line, the pit straight to take the shortest route to the line, and he sets a 197, half a tenth off Bossman Sean for provisional pole.
So early exchanges then in this session. As Bossman Sean at the front, we've got Chris Johnson coming through the final corner, but he is invalidated. Sam Hickey is pitted. I imagine he probably invalidated as well, which is what's caused him to make a pit stop. Let's watch Luca Chiappelli then around the hairpin.
I think
41.7 middle sector.
Is he on a lap?
No, I don't think he's not pushing, is he?
No.
I don't think he is pushing.
He's either setting one up,
he's not.
or he's coming into the
He's
pits.
not an overtake. So he must have made an error earlier in the lap. He hasn't invalidated though or anything. So
he's gone for another run. He must have enough fuel to do so. But actually, I don't know if that's a glitch on our side. But well, he's gone P4, so I think maybe that might actually be a glitch regarding the ERS. Either that, or he's forgot to turn it on and set a very solid lap.
yeah, I suppose he might have. He might have forgot to turn it on. You can't do that. It's easier. It's easier than what you think to suddenly realise that he hasn't switched it on, or you're not in maximum fuel mix.
Obviously, I've done it a few times. I've been quite rusty on the game. I've forgotten to turn it on, but yeah, I think Mr. Chiapelli. If he did do the lap without any ERS, it probably could have been provisional pole at that rate. But the AlphaTauri driver currently in P4 as Sam Hickman is heading down the back straight to start his first lap of the session.
Chris Johnson went for another lap after the invalidation first time round and goes fourth on a 110.699, then fourth place at this stage.
Sam Hickman then
got Mike Noon. Sorry, Roy.
No problem. Just saying, Sam Hickman starting his lap.
Okay. So the podium sitter at the last race then. Second place, and let's see what he can do around here then around Canada. He was delighted with that race. Hopefully he hasn't been celebrating too much. You've got to get your head down and you've got to instantly focus for the next race. It looks like a very solid first sector to me, Roy. 19.4 there.
Yeah, showing up as purple. Not always accurate, as we know, with the graphics, but it's looking good so far for the Haas driver. As long as he can keep it valid, he should end up towards the front here. Heading towards the end of the second sector now, and it's coming up as purple again. Let's see if that rings true come the end of the lap. Nicely done through the hairpin, keeps the car straight on the exit as he heads down the back straight now. DRS wide open now for the Haas driver, who of course, yes, finished second on the podium in the last race in America. Now through the chicane, can he keep it valid? Very crucial. You can ruin your lap right at the end here. Keeps it out of the wall as well. DRS wide open, straight line to the finish line, and he goes provisional pole with a 1 minute 9.5.
Superb lap then by Sam Hickey. Fantastic stuff. Dom is about to enter the back straight now as well. He's 41.5 middle sector, so he's about 4/10 down on what Sam Hickey was at this stage. Let's see if Dom can have a mammoth run through the final chicane. It'll lag there on my screen, but it does look like he's managed to successfully run to the line. And let's see if he can improve on the fourth place. He goes third on 109.739. It's so close between Bossman Shaw and Dom and Jack, but Sam Hickey leading the way.
Mike Noon invalidated
Here's
his lap.
Bossman Shaw around the final corner. Bossman Shaw around the final corner to improve, and he goes to a 109.3. To lower the time even more.
Bossman Sean once again showing great pace, and he's delivering at this time in qualifying as things stand. I think Jack Pearson is now on a lap as he heads through the middle sector now. Is he getting a tow down the back straight from his teammate? I think he might actually get one for the rest of the lap as things stand, as long as Dom keeps his foot in.
Yeah, and Mike Noon in 10th place is invalidated on this lap, so he'll have to go again, which is not good for him at all. It's a 41.3 for Jack, so 2/10 off. Well, 2/10 off certainly Sam Hickey at this stage. You would imagine it would be something similar for Bossman Sean as well. But here we go, look at this. He's going to have a huge tow here. And he's got, as long as he can get his braking point right, he will enjoy this very much. Thank you very much, Dom, you'll say. Hard on the brake to the corner, and the improves across the line. He doesn't improve across the line. No, across the line. No, he was just off.
Yeah, I think he went a bit too deep in the first part of the chicane and had to back off on the exit. So not the smoothest final sector for Jack in the Mercedes. The good news for him right now, though, is that he currently sits P4, with Mike Noon is down in P10 after invalidating his latest run.
Yeah, and he's back in the pits because of that then. So 8 minutes to go. We've got plenty of time. No need to panic for Mike Noon.
Mr. Chiapelli
want to get a lap in.
Mr. Chiapelli is currently on the medium tyre, so I think on that last lap he might have deliberately been running without ERS, because I think he wants to start the race on the mediums, but at the same time set a solid lap in qualifying. He's currently only a quarter of a tenth up, so he's only really got one chance at this, although as things stand he could very well find himself outside the top 10 if he does insist on starting on medium tyres.
It's a bold move then by Luca. Obviously, wants to start on the mediums, of course, in case, obviously, for the rain that we're expecting during the actual race. It's a 41.4 middle sector, so I tell you what, he can put himself right up there. This is certainly top 4 territory right now in the 109s if he can nail the final chicane. And well, it could be a genius decision if it works for Chiapelli.
Let's see where he goes. He's only got the final chicane to negotiate. He might as well be safe than sorry through here. And that's exactly what he's done. Negotiates the chicane very nicely, keeps it straight, heading towards the line, and he sets a 1 minute 9.5 to go P2 on the medium compound tyre.
Well, he definitely has a speed then around here. In fact, if I remember last season in TGP1, Luca was in TGP1 and he really struggled, but I do seem to remember that Canada was really the one race where he really performed very well. So clearly he enjoys this track, and well, it could pay off hugely if he starts on the medium tyres for this race. He's third in the championship right now,
and Mike Noon
currently in second place on the road.
Starts a lap. He hit the apex for turn 1 quite nicely, but kind of messed up turn 2 by going too quickly through turn 1. Now what can he do through turns 3 and 4? He goes a bit wide, and he's it's not been smooth so far, but he's on a 110.9.
He dipped the wheel on the grass going into the corner.
So what can he do? The man who leads the championship by 19 points now, DRS is wide open. He might as well continue because he's only done a 1 minute 10.9. So this could still move him further up the grid as things stand. It's important to set a valid lap around here. So Mike Noon heading towards the end of the second sector. What is his time like compared to his previous time? It's still 6/10 up despite those mistakes. So he just needs to hook it up. In this final sector now, he is a bit tail happy on the exit there. Now, as he said before, you just have to nothing to think about down here until you arrive at the hairpin, the chicane, I should say. And can the Red Bull driver keep it valid? Something he struggled to do earlier on in the session. And yes, he can, but it's a big moment for Mike Noon there. But he still jumps up into P7 on a 110.4.
How did he save that? Almost doing an Owen there, going into the wall.
And
just
Dom,
about avoided it.
Dom is purple after the second sector, and I believe that is legitimate. He's over 3.5 tenths up on his previous best time, so this could catapult the Mercedes driver onto provisional pole if he can hook it up through the final sector. Keeps the back end in check on the exit of the chicane. What can the Mercedes driver do? He takes P2. It's a 109.557, just 4 thousandths clear of Mr. Chiapelli, who of course is on the medium tyres.
And Jack Pearson goes a little bit wide there, going into the exit of turn 6, I believe that is. But he set a solid first sector through the next part of the track. Now the chicane, that looked pretty decent, I suppose. Tell you what, he's catching up to this race some points. He might end up getting a tow. 41.1 middle sector. This is looking good for Jack. Oh, is he a bit too deep going through there? And look at that, Nell Jack moves out of the way. He's saying, you are not getting a tow from me, my friends. And Jack will have to do it all by himself down here. He can chill down here, he can read the paper, he can check Twitter, but he has to get ready now to slam on the brakes and hopefully nail this final chicane better than he did on the previous lap. That looks much smoother. DRS enabled, shortest run to the line. Let's see if he can get up there in the top 3. He gets onto pole, a 109.1 for Jack Pearson in the Mercedes.
It's exactly the kind of response that Jack needed after the final race that we just had in America. Mike Noon currently in P10, emphasising the importance of managing to nail a lap around here and how difficult it can be. So the Red Bull driver, he's still got time. There's still time for another run, but he's got it all to do.
Does he ever? Seriously has it all to do at the minute. Chiapelli, it says that he's in the pit lane right now, but it looks like he's possibly going to switch to the soft tyres for his final run, perhaps. On the graphic, it certainly has a red soft tyre being displayed, but we'll see if he sticks to that, because that would be a great position to be starting even on the mediums. Of course, on these final runs, you would expect improvements from, well, hopefully all of the drivers. We don't want an anti-climax of this session.
Of course, and I think the driver who will, of course, be most looking to improve is Mike, who is down in 9th, as we said before. Sayre Sports backs off from his lap, I believe, or was that just a slow exit from the hairpin? He's not using any errors, and I think this might be an in-lap. So I think at the moment we've Indecisive Mackie on a lap. Yes, he is. He's using his ERS DRS wide open. What can the Alfa Romeo driver do? Currently in P13 on a 1:11.0. The Alfa Romeo driver didn't have a smooth race last time. The wet conditions not favouring him, so I don't think he'd be looking forward to the race that we've got coming up. But Indecisive Mackie crosses the line and he goes P7.
Oh, brilliant stuff there by Indecisive Mackie then. What a great position that would be for him to start this race. Alex Afro is also on a good lap right now. That's a good first set of Alex Afro. Could he show a nice qualifying position here as well? Be great to see. I know he live streams, or he certainly uploads his races to YouTube, and it's very interesting to watch from his perspective as he navigates his way through the races. It was very entertaining to watch the Monaco qualifying that he tried to do there last week, which of course was in the pouring rain. But well, could he have something huge to celebrate here if he can nail his final chicane? It's looking like a good lap for Alex Afro.
Just this final chicane to navigate, just needs to keep it valid. It's been a very solid lap so far, and he's not done so. It's invalid, and I believe that could very well be qualifying over for the Renault driver unless he has enough fuel to do a cool down lap and then another flying lap after that. But Mike Noon is now on his final run of the session, heading into turns 3 and 4, just about keeps it valid. Uses as much curve as he can get away with, but he's got traffic up ahead that he needs to get out of his way. I think they've just about done so, but I think Mike did still miss the apex on the first part of that chicane. Will there be a steward's inquiry later on? The AlphaTauri driver did his best to move out the way, and I believe Luca Giapelli, is he the only one? Yeah, because Mr. John's out the session, so it was Mr. Giapelli who was involved. But Mike Noon, he's only 2/10 up on his previous lap, which at the moment would be good enough for a top 7 place. If he can find time in this final sector, he could pop his car up into the top 6, but no further than that, I don't think, because there's a 6/10 gap between 5th and 6th.
But it was only a 41.6 middle sector, so he's going to have to launch through the final chicane here and not lose it this time, and he's invalidated. Mike Noon in 10th place, and he may well be out of the top 10. He might have free tyre choice, which I suppose would be an advantage. He decides to have a huge crash in frustration as they all start the final runs then, and wow, Mike Noon is not going to be happy with that, and he may have some complaints about that traffic he encounters. Jack Pearson is invalidated on his final run. Giapelli is about to start his final lap. You've got Dom retired, Bossman Jones retired. Tell you what, maybe we are going to get a bit of an anticlimax of this session, but what a moment that is for Mike Noon.
What can Alex Afro do? Well, actually, as I said that, he just invalidated his lap, so never mind. It's not too smooth.
We've got Blair Gills coming through. No, we haven't. We haven't got Blair Gills coming through because he's decided for first. So it is going to be Luca then. 19.1 first sector. That's quick. And could Luca, the guy who ironically, of course, was, I mean, he certainly didn't do it deliberately, and he absolutely got out the way for Mike Noon, but it was just a bit too late in the end. Could he be the driver to take full advantage of this and possibly steal a pole here from Jack at the very end of the session?
I think he may be abandoning the medium strategy. I think he thinks he can beat that pole position time, and at the moment he is on course to do so. 6/10 up. Can he be the first driver, and perhaps the only driver, to pop into the 1:08 as he heads down this back straight?
And Chris Johnson went into 6th place crucially as well, which puts Mike Noon to 11th. So Mike Noon will get free tyre choice for the race. Here comes Luca then, final chicane. Nice and steady through there. Now has he got the momentum, has he got the speed, has he got the time to go into pole position? Yes, he has, by 3/10 for Luca. He takes pole, and he needed that pole at Canada.
You know what, we're still fairly early into the season. If Mr. Giapelli can take a huge chunk of points out of Mike Noon in this race, he could still find his way into the championship battle as things stand.
Oh, that is incredible stuff there for Mike Noon, isn't it? I don't think anybody would have expected an 11th place start for Mike Noon around here. Possibly just the one number one on the graphic, but instead there's 2 of them. He will be 11th, but of course he would probably rather start 11th and 10th because, as we say, he gets free tyre choice now.
Yeah, he might as well stick it onto the mediums if the rain is actually comes at the end of the race as opposed to towards the start as we were expecting in America. So if the rain comes towards the end, then yeah, stick a set of mediums on, and hopefully it comes down soon enough for you to change onto the inters. But
so we've got Luca on
Luca.
the pole position then, by 3/10 from Jack Pearson in 2nd place. Bossman Sean in third. Another strong qualifying for him, and he didn't crash this time. Dom Smith in fourth, Sam Hickey fifth, Chris Johnson a solid sixth, Blair Grill's an excellent seventh, and a good qualifying for him. Hopefully he can make the most of it this time. Jack eighth, indecisive. Ninth, great quali for him. Alex Afro 10th, Mike Noon 11th. Tay Sports 12th, Baz at 13th, although he didn't actually set a lap on the soft tyres. So Tom Penguin 14th, Shepard 15th, Red Bull Kim 16th, and Mr. John did not set a time. So we've got an AlphaTauri at the back and an AlphaTauri at the very front for this race.
Well, it's a very interesting grid. I'm going to be fascinated to see how Mike Noon can progress through the field. He'll be looking to... it will be damage limitation for the Red Bull driver as things stand, with Jack Pearson on the front row, and of course Mr. Chiapelli on pole position. Still can't count him out of the title fight because he does have some pretty rapid pace when he's on it.
It looks brighter at this stage of the race than what it did at the start in Austin. I will say that. I
think we could be on for a rain a bit later on in this race, which could throw strategy up into the air like we expected in the last race. So let's see what happens as we begin the race here in Canada. We're currently watching the mechanics in the pit garages nervously waiting for the start of the race to see how their drivers get on.
See the two Ferrari guys there sitting there, so three of them are all getting ready. I don't know why they're not standing up, or it looks like they're half asleep, but
they're a bit lax.
They need to be awake. Yeah, because we are about to get a race started yet, and they will be woken up by the sound of those still quite loud engines. Here we go then. 5 lights come on for Canada. And we are underway after a very long pause. Great start by Chiapelli. Good start by Jack as well, though. Can Dom maybe get into the top 3 at the fifth corner? And Bossman Sean just about keeps him ahead as Chiapelli easily keeps the lead. Then we've got Sam Hickey up into 4th place. He's got a round Dom for 5th. Blake Grills remains in 7th, Chris Johnson 6th. So Luca got away. It's a very clean start, you have to say. Fair play to them all. As they head into the first chicane, bit of contact with indecisiveness here. Tom Penguin there, who's not made the most of that excellent qualifying. Jack runs wide, which could open the door for Bossman Sean. But no, it's very close though. Sam Hickey right behind him as well. It's so close with those 3 for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Chiapelli is out and clear.
Mike Noon making up 1 place at the start. As you see the predicted pit stop strategy from Amazon Insights. Predicted pit stops between laps 7 and 12. Thank you, Amazon. As Sam Hickey goes down the inside for P3.
Lovely move at the hairpin there with Sam Hickey. I wonder if Bossman Sean there will fancy coming straight back at him, and they may well be going side by side here as they approach the chicane, which is always a bit of a risky moment. So he's got the position. Has he back already, Bossman Sean? Yes, he has. Sam Hickey now pulls out as if he's going to go for it. Oh, this is big. This is bold. That is a brilliant move by Sam Hickey. How the hell did he manage that? Excellent overtake.
Brilliant racing from the Haas driver as he makes his way up onto the podium places. Out in front it is the same 2 that were on the front row. Mr. Chiapelli leading from Jack Pearson. Now Jack picks up the first time penalty of the race so far, down in P7.
Yeah, we said it can be easy to pick a penalty up in this race, and that's what he's done immediately after just 1 lap then. Say Sport 9th place, and Baza, who starts at 13th, he's actually had the better start than Mike Noon. He's in 10th ahead of his teammates. Mike Noon down in 11th at this stage then.
Yeah, and Alex Afro passes his Renault teammate for P12. Indecisive Mackie is also battling Sir Tom Penguin. Can the Alfa Romeo driver, who had a brilliant qualifying, can he make up for a poor start and make his way up into the top 13? As things stand at the moment, he's actually being overtaken by M-Shep, and there's a bit of contact there between M-Shep and the Renault of Sir Tom Penguin. But it's all under control so far. But Indecisive Mackie now down in P15 with a penalty as well for good measure. But Mr. John, can he make a move down the inside? Yes, he can, but they're side by side on the exit. But Mr. John makes the move for P15.
Well, after all the build-up we gave at the possible tyre selection, they've all gone on to softs then for this race as Bossman Sean gets a penalty. So even Mike Noon did not fancy going for the ultimate strategy. Bossman Sean, he's got a penalty, but he's going to get past Sam Hickey to retake 3rd place, and he does it very nicely. Sam Hickey got a nice exit from the first corner there. He's going to try and go back around the outside of him, but he could not manage to do so. But he'll know Bossman Sean has the penalty. And of course it was these 2 involved in that incident in the previous race in Austin.
And M-Shep and Sir Tom Penguin were not quite done with their battle through that chicane. They were going side by side as Mike Noon picks up a 3-second penalty. Already we have 6 drivers who've picked up penalties, and we're only on the 3rd lap. So penalties could very well be crucial at the end of this race. And is that the rain again? I think we're seeing our first drops of rain here on lap 3 of the race, so the weather not being too accurate at the moment. But yeah, I think we're seeing our first drops of rain.
It was lap 3 in Austin. I can't see any rain on my screen just yet, but I'll certainly have a look out for it. Indecisive though, has gone off, and he is well. It's a rainy day for him, certainly for Indecisive at the back after such a good qualifying session. No rain just yet, still that I can see. Maybe got better eyesight than me, possibly.
I think the initial drops were coming down. There we go. Yeah, it's definitely more prominent now.
And Chris Johnson's going for 5th place on Dom into turn 1. He's going to go around the outside, which will turn it to the inside, and that would be a lovely move by the Ferrari driver. It'll force Dom out wide, and Chris Johnson will make it up into 5th place as the rain does now start to fall.
Yeah, Chris Johnson with a lovely move to get himself up into the top 5 places. Sam Hickey looking on it once again. At the front, it's quite stable. 1.2 seconds separate the top 2. The rain now beginning to come down. The thing with Canada is that the lap is so much shorter than the Circuit of the Americas, so there is a bit more leeway in terms of strategy. If you stay a lap too long, it's probably not as crucial as it is in America, but nonetheless, we shall see how things pan out when the rain starts to get heavier.
Yeah, it's very true. Sam Hickey was late on the brakes at the hairpin there. Look at Bazin and Say Sports, though, side by side. They're going to be side by side going into this hairpin. Who's going to get the position? My goodness me, Say Sports, he runs into the back of Neljak. But he's made the corner and he's made the position, and he's kept the position, in fact. 9th place there with Bazza in 10th, and is Mike Noonan now going to fancy a go on his teammates? He really needs to get this done, and ideally with no contact. He'll be feuding with Barry if it turns out to be contact there. Gets into 10th place then, Mike Noonan. Chris Johnson has a penalty. Say Sports today, and he'll lose it there coming out of that final chicane. It's opened the door for Mike Noonan, and he could get 2 positions here as he goes up into 9th. He's hit the back of Neljak.
And he's got wing damage as well. He's got some hefty wing damage. I think he might actually have wing damage on both sides of his car. I think he's got, orange wing damage. He's still going side by side with Sayer Sports. He's not giving positions up, but the Mike Noonan with pretty heavy wing damage. He's going to have
full
to pit.
Damage now. He's all over the place. You're going to have to come in. That was a bizarre few corners there for Mike Noonan. He tried to go side by side through the chicane there, which was never really going to work, and then on that little small kink right hand there, he ended up just driving straight into the wall.
Absolute disaster. And does Basil have wing damage?
Bossman Sean has spun at the exit of the hairpin. Disastrous for Bossman Sean. He's in the middle of the road now. Chris Johnson's having to move over for Tom Smith. Luckily, no contact is made, thank goodness. We haven't got any sort of safety car or anything, but Bossman Sean, that's terrible for him now. And there's certainly no contact with Sam Hickey this time round. That happened all by himself.
And not just that, when he was trying to get his car righted again, he damaged his wing even further. So Mike Noonan and Bossman Sean, 2 very fancy runners, we would have thought.
Ended up staying on the dry tyres for too long in the end, didn't he? But as you say, with this being a much shorter lap, you have more opportunities to come in and make the decision. Tell you what, Jack Pearson is closing in on Luca for the lead.
Yeah, you just saw Bazza running very wide on the exit of that chicane, but keeping under control. The track is definitely greasy, and we see a yellow flag out there, and that is Mike Noonan.
Actually, what a nightmare this has turned into for him then. He's trying to get the car back round again. This is the corner where he had the incident a moment on the previous lap. Now he's going side by side with Tom Pegman for 16th place. I'd say Tom gets past him. Wow.
They're both really struggling to keep under control.
Championship leader is at the back of the field. He's spun. He's probably for now on the wrong tyres. All going pear-shaped.
Yeah, and I think we've got a good few laps left before we see any changeovers. We're only on lap 7, but the rain is not coming down very quickly, and the track is it's greasy, but it's still ultimately dry conditions out there. So this is an absolute nightmare for Mike Noonan as he does repass Sir Tom Penguin for P16.
Wow. I did not expect to see Mike Noonan going side by side in a battle with Sir Tom Penguin tonight, I have to say. But Sir Tom Penguin certainly gave him a good fight of it. And now he's in the wall, Sir Tom Penguin. And we've got a virtual safety car, and the leaders are just coming down the back straight. Now, would this be an opportunity to come in and put the inters on?
I think if it was me in this race, I'd still stay out personally. I think it's still too dry, but what will the leaders decide to do? Luca decides to
Luca's
pit.
coming in.
Luca
And
pits
Jack.
and so does Jack. I don't know, I think they should have split it as Sam also comes into the pits. So not much variety as Red Bull Kim picks up his second consecutive drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car.
But look, the virtual safety car has ended the moment that they come into the pit lane. So they're actually not really going to gain much at all. And Chris Johnson stayed out and Dom stayed out. This could be good for them.
I think Chris Johnson has now made himself the favourite to potentially win this race. I think these conditions, they're not wet enough for intermediate tyres.
Jack's not put inters on. Jack's put mediums on. So Jack is, well, this is incredible. If he thinks it's maybe going to, the rain's going to stop, but it's going to remain dry with the race. This could be disastrous for Jack Pearson if he then has to make another pit stop and a few laps for inters. He's in 6th place on medium tyres.
And Luke has been jumped. Luke is down in P9.
He has.
So I wonder if he had wing damage, but Sam Hickman has jumped him as well. They're all on intermediates, Sam Hickman and Mr. Chiapelli, but Mr. John has passed Mr. Chiapelli in the AlphaTauri.
This is unbelievable!
Safety car!
Safety car is out. I don't know why, but they were all
Neither do I.
on the inters. Wow.
So I think now maybe I pit.
Mike Newton's going to drive through. What's going to happen next to Mike Newton in this race? Chris Johnson's going to pit. Well, what a tough. And Chris Johnson's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Wow, does anybody want to win this race?
I think now Dom Smith is in pole.
Put on here?
I think it's got to be inters. I mean, the rain is coming down a lot heavier now. Dom Smith goes for the inters, as does Chris Johnson. What do the rest of the field opt for? Now, this is an absolute blessing for Mr. Chiapelli and Jack and Sam as they retake positions 1, 2 and 3. So never mind what I said about Dom.
Blake Hills has put the wets on. He's in 7th place. This is amazing. We've got drivers on softs, we've got drivers on mediums, we've got drivers on inters, and now wets for Blake Hills. As the Ferrari's was very slow going around the corner there. That was a very strange one. I think
they're allowed to
positions there, say Sports, yeah. But he's had to settle for 8th place. So, well, this is unbelievable what we're seeing here. Jack Pearson leads this race on the medium tyres. The tyres that surely, once the safety car comes in, will not be suitable for the circuit. Sam Hickey is in 2nd, but he does have a penalty on the inters. And Luca, all of a sudden, after being jumped and struggling on the pit lane exit, after coming in, is possibly now the favourite to win the race again, would you say, after all that?
I would say so, because I don't, surely intermediate conditions will occur. You know, I think right now it's still, we're still just about on dry conditions, but the rain is still coming down, and we've only done half the race. So, Jack, surely he's got to pit now. I think he didn't pit on the last lap because he didn't want any traffic in the pit lane. Because obviously Dom had to come in and make his stop. But the one I really can't understand, I have to say, is Blair Grylls on the wets. I don't think that's going to pay dividends, but of course,
yeah. Well, I was just about to say, the way this race has been going, it wouldn't surprise you if you did get some sort of monsoon and Blair Grylls coming through to win the race. It's incredible drama in the first 10 laps here, and Jack Pearson stays out. So is he going to? Surely he's not going to stay out on those mediums and go to the end and risk it.
No, look at the rain now.
It's incredible if he does.
Bossman Sean is currently on the softs. I'm not quite sure how this always happens to Bossman Sean. He always seems to be far adrift from a safety car queue. But he's currently on the soft and will have to pit again, surely. Mike Noon is in the pits.
Mike Noon's in the pits again. I think did Mike Noon get a drive-through as well at one stage? I think that all that madness. You'll have to save that at some stage as well. You can't save it under safety car, I believe.
I don't think he can.
Certainly can't in real life anyway, but...
Not in real life, yeah. As Red Bull Kim now moves his way past Mike Noon for the final points position in P14. So it's Mike Noon and Bossman Sean at the back of the field under safety car on lap 10.
So we've got Jack with no penalty in the lead on medium tyres. Sam Hickey has a 3-second penalty. Chris Johnson has an 11-second penalty, so those speeding in the pit lane as well was also very costly for him, as the safety car will be in this lap. 3 seconds for Blair Grylls, 3 seconds for Bazza, And then penalties for the guys in the bottom half of the field. There comes the restart then. I have absolutely no idea what is about to happen here. Is Jack Pearson going to dive straight into the pits? I mean, surely not. But probably that would be the sensible thing to do right now. And how easy will the overtake be for Sam Hickey to take the lead? Will Chiapelli be able to pounce and make an immediate impact? There we go then. And he's had a terrible run through the final corner, and it's going to give Sam Hickey an immediate run to take the lead. Chiapelli right there as well. There's a car in the wall here I can see in the background. I think that's Bazza. Made a few positions up. And here we go into the first corner. Sam Hickey takes an easy lead there, but he goes wide. And he's coming rejoining the track. He hits Jack Pearson. Chiapelli's going to go around the inside. Going to get both of them. He's touched Sam Hickey. And Chiapelli is still in second place.
And Chris Johnson now gets past Jack as well. It's an absolute disaster for Jack. He had a golden opportunity. Mike Noon is not even in the points as things stand. He's in the pit lane again somehow. And
I think he's saving his drive through.
Oh, of course, yeah. So, like, Mike Noon is on course to not score any points, and yet Jack has managed to, well, he's made quite the blunder. And he's currently fourth, but he's going to drop like a stone on these tyres.
This is unbelievable. Chiapelli is, if both Jack and Mike Noon do not score points here, this is going to be absolute dreamland for Luca Chiapelli, no matter whether he wins the race or not. Right now, he's 1.1 seconds behind Sam Hickey, but of course, with the penalty, he would win the race as Dom gets past Jack now before. Jack is just sliding. He can't get any traction, any power. He's having to treat the throttle pedal like there's an egg underneath it. He's having to be so careful. And surely, I mean, if he doesn't pit now, I don't know what he's playing at, to be honest.
Yeah, and he eventually gives up and comes into the pits. If it is any consolation for Jack, at least he has no penalties. But I'm not sure if that's really going to come into any sort of use by the end of the race.
Indeed, yeah. Well, are you sure Mike Noon pitted before? Because he still says that he's got to save his drive through. And Chiapelli's got a penalty, so this is perfect for Sam Hickey. Sam Hickey right now is the favourite to win this race. He got a podium in the previous race, and if Sam Hickey can stay in the lead and can keep out of the penalties going further for this last 6 laps, he will take his first win.
And we see Mr. John and Blair Grill side by side, the AlphaTauri driver moving his way up to P8. Nice move down the inside of the chicane at turn 6. And M. Shep is now up into P9. Very solid drive from the Williams driver. So Blair Grill's now down into P10.
Bossman Sean in 12th place here on dry tyres still, struggling massively. Jack Pearson in 13th, trying to go for safe sport at 12th. Blair Grills is still going around on the wets as well, by the way, in 10th place.
So Jack can clear Red Bull Kim, one would assume. So I think Jack could still maybe end up in the top 9 here, as things stand. Mike Noon is 23, now 22. I mean, that gap's going to keep tumbling down because Bossman Sean is, of course, on the dry tyres. But Mike Noon, at the moment, is only on for 1 point.
Unbelievable stuff. And as you say, Jack could still get a nice top 10 position, but it would still only ultimately be a handful of points in the end. Certainly from what he would expect, certainly of his standards, you would expect a better performance and, well, just generally a better race for Mike Noon, who's been all over the place in this one. But what a race it's been, as we see Bazza now is looking very close to Dom for 4th place. Dom doesn't have a penalty though, of course, although he is 4 seconds behind Chris Johnson in 3rd, but Chris has that large penalty, doesn't he, that 11 seconds. So at this rate, Dom may well get a podium.
Although he is under threat from Bazza, just 3 tenths back in the Red Bull, but of course, yes, Bazza does have penalties. But 3 seconds back, Dom looks the slower of the two that we see on screen at the moment. It's the closest battle that we've got on track. The field has sort of spread out after that safety car and with everyone's different choice of strategy. So what can Bazza do? He's using his overtake. He wants to get P4 on track and maybe build a gap. But I think he's going to be too far back come the end of this straight heading into the chicane, as Chris Johnson picks up another 3-second penalty.
And Bossman Sean is now on intermediate tyres then, so and Indecisive's out of the race. As here we go, and Don has a poor run off the final chicane. This is a big chance for Bazza now. He won't have DRS, of course. He'll have to try and go for it into turn 1, and that was a bit too risky in the end. But he is all over him now like a bad suit. Is Bazza on Don for 4th place. despite the fact, of course, that Dom still does not have a penalty. Fair play to Dom, 14 laps with no penalty. Blair Grills gets past Red Bull Kim for 10th place on the wet tyres.
I think it might actually... Is it that the other way around?
Blair Grills went into 10th place. He got past Red Bull Kim.
But I think Red Bull Kim initially passed him in the first place. I think Red Bull Kim was in P11, but Jack Pearson goes up the inside. Jack Pearson is now into P11, but Blair Grills is, well, really struggling. Red Bull Kim is on for multiple points here as things stand, as long as he can keep it out of the walls. But Sayer Sports now all over the back of the Haas driver. Can he pass him through the exit of this chicane? And I believe he can. He's got the inside line. Well done, Sayer Sports. So we have a yellow flag, and that's Chris Johnson.
Yeah, it's Chris Johnson. He's got a big penalty, and now he's got a penalty on the road as well, because there's a huge amount of time further, and Dom will be right on him. Less than a second separates the gap at the front then, and Jack Pearson also very easily got past Blair Grills on, still going around on those wet tyres. Fair play to him though for sticking with it. So slow in the hairpin there. Dom goes very squiggly again through the final chicane, and Bazza is presenting another big opportunity for him. Will he go for it? He will not, for that 4th place position. He's got a 6-second penalty now though, Bazza.
Yeah, it's still looking quite good for Dom to get onto this podium, making great use of Jack, Sean and Mike's blunders in this race. So Sam Hickey still controlling the lead at the front. It's a stable gap out front, hovering around the 7/10 to 1 second mark, and well, the Haas driver is looking good if he can just keep it out of the walls. Touch wood, of course. But yeah, so Mr. Chiapelli all over the back of him, but Sam Hickey's not letting him through.
And Chiapelli has the fastest lap as well. Oh, Baz has hit Dom!
Oh.
Baz has gone into the back of Dom at the chicane, and that's terrible for Dom. Dom's round. Dom won't be happy. Baz, will he slow down maybe? No, he's going to continue. But that is terrible for Dom. He didn't have any penalties. That is an absolute disaster for Mercedes and for Dom. He's now down in 8th. And, well, he may still gain some positions. And Sam Hickey's got a penalty. Chiapelli's got a penalty as well. And Luca's right on Sam Hickey now for the lead of the race. And it will be for the lead of the race because they have the same amount of penalties. They both got a penalty at the final chicane. I wonder if the rain's getting heavy. It's just looking very heavy now. Tell you what, Blake Grills is well, actually, no, he's still dropping off from Red Bull Kim, so maybe it's not closing on those wet tyres. But Alex Zafra is in an excellent 5th place right now. Fair play to Alex Zafra, and he's right on the back of Bazza.
I think it's fair to say,
Alex Zafra could be on for a podium if he can get past Bazza here.
He could very well be, because I think even if he doesn't get past Bazza, I think the stewards will take a very dim view of the contact with Dom.
Yes, I think they will.
So I think Alex could very well be on for a podium as things stand. As we see Blair Grills into the pits, despite the rain getting heavier, he has decided that enough is enough. And Mike Noon now moves into the points, which is a phrase I didn't think I'd be saying.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, but there's a lot of stuff that's happened in this race, to be honest, that I didn't really expect to be saying, because Alex Afro still all over the back of Bazza. Then what a brilliant result this would be for Alex Afro if he can pull out the podium, as Bossman Sean is that. Now on the Inters, getting past Sayer Sport for 12th place. Tell you what, Chiapelli's dropped off a bit on this lap. It's 1.5 seconds the gap now all of a sudden.
And Jack Pearson at the hairpin. Can he go down the inside of M-Shep? I think M-Shep has more or less missed the corner. So yeah, Jack Pearson now up into P9, which, you know, it's still making up ground in terms of the championship, but nowhere near the amount of points that Jack Pearson should have been scoring in this race.
2 laps to go then, Sam Hickey fans. The Sam Hickey fan club will remember this day if he can hold on. Well, I suppose even if he was to drop it, he'd also remember it for all the wrong reasons, but they will be hoping not, and that he can get to the finish here. What would be a brilliant win for Sam Hickey. And Luca there, whoa, he nearly hit the wall at the exit of that corner. He certainly lost more time.
Bossman Sean picks up another 3-second penalty down in P12. I don't think he's going to be massively concerned about that. It's not exactly costing him a brilliant result, but yeah, it's just an absolute nightmare for the Alfa Romeo driver, as M-Shep picks up a 3-second penalty, currently running in P10.
Well, I have to say, here's another thing I didn't expect to be saying in this race. There's only 3 drivers who don't have penalties right now. Dom, okay, yeah, fair enough. Jack, okay, fair enough. Red Bull Kim in 11th place. Come on, Red Bull Kim, look at that. And Shepard's got an 18-second penalty, so Red Bull Kim could be getting a top 10 at this rate. as Sam Hickey approaches the final lap. But both the Mercedes, they haven't got penalties, but Dom through being tagged and Jack through making strange pit calls is the reason why they're so far down the field.
Absolute disaster for Mercedes. When it goes wrong for Mercedes, it really goes wrong. And Alex Zaffro picks up a 3-second penalty, but he's 5 seconds clear of Neljak in P6, so he will at least keep that position on the road. But in terms of his battle with Chris Johnson, I'm not sure if that will elevate him past the Ferrari driver.
Final lap then, Sam Hickey makes his way past the famous corner which Sebastian Vettel lost the lead on the final lap in 2011. Chiapelli is still a second back, and unless Sam Hickey has an incident now, it looks like he is about to win in TGP2. Don't lock up, don't make any errors here. Look at that, they're way off the pace, of course. Chiapelli, once again, as he did in the previous race, will get fastest lap because of the rain, which then fell in the later stages of the race, as Jack gets past his teammate for 8th. Mike Noon gets up into 13th. But look at this, here we go, down the final straight. I don't want to call it just yet because there's every possibility an incident could happen. Through the final chicane, nice and slow. There it is, through the corner, and Sam Hickey is going to win in TGP2 here at Canada. Across the line, he wins in Canada. Chiapelli will finish in second, and that is a fantastic result for Sam Hickey on a brilliant night for him all round. He finished second, of course, in Austin. Wins here in Canada, and he will be absolutely delighted with that. Now, will Bazza get third? No, he doesn't. Chris Johnson amazingly keeps third despite the penalties. Alex Afro 5th. He may be promoted the position though after that incident with Bazza and Dom. Mr. John in 6th. Jack 7th in the end. Dom 7th in the end, in fact. Dom leapfrogs him for Jack in 8th. And then look at Neljak just behind in 9th as well. Is Bossman Sean going to come through in 10th, or will Red Bull Kim get 10th? I think Red Bull Kim's going to get a top 10 here, Roy.
I think so, yeah. The Haas driver with no penalties as he crosses the line. I think Jack actually picked up a penalty at the end there. So only 2 drivers, Dom and Red Bull Kim, an elite club of no penalties. And Mike Noon comes home in P13 to pick up just 2 points for Red Bull. And Blair Grills, the last of the finishers, will take home the final point of the race.
What a fantastic race that was. All over the place, wasn't it? But it is a Haas driver who wins. It's not really the home race, but it almost is, I think we can say. Canadians probably won't be happy with me for saying that, but
not quite, no.
There we go. Sam Hickey is certainly happy on the top step of that podium. And well, the championship standings are going to be very interesting to work out after that absolutely crazy race, aren't they?
Yep. So, yep, Sam Hickey, incredible drive to take the win. AlphaTauri happy with the podium. Luca Chiapelli.
Sorry, no, not Franz Tost.
Yes, as well as the mechanic who appeared on the podium, whose name I cannot come up with.
Yeah, just leave that.
So the results then, yep, Sam Hickman wins the race, first of the season for Haas. Mr. Chiapelli, the pole sitter, comes home in P2 with the fastest lap. Chris Johnson completes the podium with Bazza P4 as things stand, although a steward's inquiry may demote him down the field. Alex Zaffro rounds out the top 5, excellent drive. For Mr. John comes home in P6 for AlphaTauri, Dom Smith and Jack Pearson for Mercedes 7th and 8th, which is an absolute disaster when you think of the circumstances that they've endured during that race. Neljak in P9, Red Bull Kim an excellent 10th place, followed by Bossman Sean, Sayre Sports, Mike Noon, Blair Grills rounding out the points paying positions. And then Indecisive Mackie, Sir Tom Penguin did not finish, and Matt Shep was disqualified from the session due to too many infringements regarding track limits. So, story of the race there, Jack Pearson failing to capitalise on Mike Noon's errors, which in itself are of course a big story. 54 seconds off the race lead, scoring only 2 points despite winning the race beforehand, but he still keeps the championship lead if I am correct.
Yeah, but he will still keep the lead. I think obviously penalties could apply further on with the instance, so I won't give an actual proper detailed look at the standards at this point, but yeah, I think Mike Noon's probably on about 136 and Luca possibly 126, and Jack, I think he will be around the early 120s, mid 120s. So Luca may well have jumped Jack in the standings, but we'll wait to see what happens with penalties. You can check the TGPSeries Twitter account, which will have all the standings up once everything becomes official.
So still all to play for at the front. We've only done 8 races, amazingly, so we've got another 14 to go. So yeah, very much all to play for. We've not even reached the halfway stage of this thrilling season. Still can't call a championship winner at this point. So yeah, we shall join us. You shall join us next week for
Belgium and France.
Belgium and France, 2 classic tracks. Well, debatable, I would say, but anyway. If you'd like to see more TGP2 action, tune in next week. So yeah, we'll see you then.